Hello, I'm Graham Horton and welcome to my review of the Yolobox Pro from the company Yololiv. Now, full disclaimer, I was sent this by them to review for you, but in no way has it influenced my opinion about the product. You get to hear all the pros and cons of this device in this review. So let's get started, let's unbox this and I'll show you exactly what you get, and then we'll proceed with the how to use of the device. So let's unbox this and I'll show you exactly what you get within the package. Very nicely presented, nice sturdy box. All the information around the outside edge. Multi-camera production, touchscreen control, go live in 1080p, multi-view, overlay and watermark, and a complete audio mixer. So inside the box you'll find they have provided you with a tempered glass screen protector, which I have fitted to the device already. Thoughtfully they give you a little pull tab to enable you to remove it from the box. I'll just place that on my side and note it has got a rubber back to prevent scratches to the case. The quick start guide, you can scan the QR code to get the full manual if you wish. Inside you'll find you also get the Yolobox Pro user manual. Got information about the setup and the accessories, etc. In the lower compartment you've got a USB-C to USB-C, so this can be used for connecting the webcam output of this device to your laptop, a USB-A to USB-C for charging, or you can use the PD charging facility. You get a cold shoe mount, so you could mount this on top of your camera or onto another rig, an Allen key to adjust that friction mount in there, and a stylus here to release the carrier for the SIM card in this device. So those are the accessories you get with the product. Let's now have a look at the product itself in a little bit more detail. So the product measures 218 by 129 by 27 millimeters in height, and it weighs approximately 750 grams. We have a look at the ports on here. You can see we've got 3 HDMI ports, HDMI 1, 2 and 3. We have a USB Type A connector which allows you to connect this to your webcam devices. Ethernet port to allow you to connect to your router so you can actually live stream at a full 100 megabits per second. We have the HDMI out, which allows you to push this output into a larger monitor or a recorder if you wanted to record the output. We've got our fully featured Type-C input here, so you can use a keyboard or any other device which will connect through Type-C. Headphone monitoring port, 3.5mm socket. 2 audio inputs, one is a mic level and the other is line level, so 3 millivolts and 320 millivolts. And again you've got Type-C charging, which is PD, and it's available as a 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts at 2 amps, or 12 volts at 1.5 amps for charging the unit. Internally it has a 10,000 milliamp hour battery. On the base of the unit we have the power on off button plus standby, the SIM tray which allows you to put the nano SIM in there for your mobile data network, the SD card which allows you to fit a full-size SD card in here for locally recording or inserting PDF files and videos so you can actually insert them into your live stream. And then located in the center of the device, a 1/4-20 threaded mount so you can mount this onto your rigs or onto a cold shoe using that supplied cold shoe adapter. And then over on the right hand side is a reset button. So that is the device. So let's now power it up, see what you have to do to start an account and then get it into production. So on powering up the unit you will see the introductory screen with the 2 options: sign in to live or monitor mode. But the first thing to do is actually check out your settings, and that is the top right hand icon. Press that and it brings you out to the account and settings screen, and here you can set up your Facebook, YouTube and Twitter and the RTMPS accounts. So you need to set up your device to begin with to create an account, and then you can carry on. The First thing it's telling me is that there is a new version here which says upgrade, so we'll do that first of all to make sure we're working with the latest option of the operating system from Yololiv. So we can see there's been an app upgrade to version 1.7.0, so we'll install that first of all, download over Wi-Fi. So the upgrade has been successful, and now we're into the opening screen. Click the plus to create a live stream or enter the monitor mode. So we'll go into monitor mode and have a look at some of the options there. So in the monitor mode, you can see on screen now the overlay coming from the Yolobox Pro. So I've opened it up so we can see the on-screen menus, and if I close that down you can see what we've got in the monitor mode. You can see I can switch from the various input sources, and you can probably see there on the screen I've got 3 HDMI inputs, so the main camera, the overhead camera, and my laptop are plugged into the HDMI sources, and the HDMI output is going to my AVerMedia 330 to record the output from the device, charging and powering the Yolobox Pro with USB-C power delivery. I've got my headphone monitoring port should I need it. So we've got the 3 main input sources. So we've got the main camera, we've got the overhead camera, and we've got the feed from my laptop. So I can switch to any one of those. Now currently under the audio settings I've got the audio coming from HDMI 1, and notice AFV I've turned off. If you've got AFV on, the audio will follow the video that you switch to. So if I switch to HDMI 3, the audio would come from HDMI 3, and that was the problem I had originally where I was doing this program and I forgot to turn off AFV, and when I switched to a source without the audio, then you lost the feed from the microphone. Now at the moment the video feed is on HDMI 1, which is the Canon EOS M6 Mark II, is the main camera. The audio is this microphone here, which is a condenser microphone which needs a 48 volt phantom power, and that's coming from a preamp on the board on my desk here. So to combine the two together, I put them into my ATM mini switcher so I can bring out a HDMI signal to HDMI input 1. So that's the only reason I'm using the ATM switcher in this case. So this is the audio and video on HDMI 1. So with audio follows video, you can see at the moment the audio is coming from HDMI 1, but if I switch over to HDMI 2, if I just scroll up so you can see HDMI 2, when I switch to HDMI 2 the audio will come from HDMI 2, but it will be from the internal microphone on the camera above, which will be very poor audio quality. Let me switch that over and show you why. So now the audio is coming from the microphones in the camera above, so it's not going to be so good. So that is why you tend to lock the audio to the right source. In this case it's going to be HDMI 1. Now if you wanted to see full screen, obviously you can click this little icon on the desktop here, which will give you a full screen view. And if you want to close that down, then you use the smaller icon here to close the screen back again. Now let's have a look at some of the settings on the device. To look at the settings, we use the gear icon on the bottom right hand side. Click the gear icon and it brings up the submenu for the video source switching mode, and you can have it click to switch or double click to switch. To inadvertently prevent you from switching to another feed by the touchscreen, you could put this into double click mode and it would require 2 presses to switch over the mode, but normally a single click is fine. The SD card video switching settings, you can see there we've got continue playing when switching, resume the first frame and pause when switching, or pause when switching, dependent on what your application is, whether you select one of those options. Under the SD card management, you can see the current size of the card that I've got in the device and the amount of space taken by the files. You can select and delete files if you wanted to from this menu. Program out allows you to see what the output feed would be from the HDMI output port, and if I switch to that, you can see on the output feed now what the output feed will be, and it's a mirror image of this screen here. The USB-C output port, which would be the USB-C port on the back of the unit, you can see it requires up to 3 HDMI sources, but doesn't support background and overlays. And if you need to switch it, flip horizontally, then you've got that option in there as well. If we were to look at the video source transitions, I generally use a 1 second fade from source to source. You can change the duration here at the top of the screen, and you can go first of all to the default, which would be a cut. So if I now go to HDMI 3, we'll go directly to HDMI 3 and directly back to HDMI 1. If I put that into fade, obviously it will fade between HDMI 1 and HDMI 3. We do a wipe. You can see that we get a wipe action between the two, and a directional wipe is almost like a diagonal across the screen. Translation, window slice, a simple zoom, cross zoom, the squeeze, flip page, and finally cube. So you can see there we've got quite a few options there for transitions between our scene changes. Now you can probably see on the overlay here we've got the option to add another video source. So if I click this option, it brings up the option now to add another video source. So it could be from an HDMI, it could from USB, or you could add actually video from the card that's inserted into your device. So if I go to SD card for a start, you can see I've got some videos already loaded on that card. So if I select one and then click done, it will add that as the extra video source. If you wanted to put another video in there, click that, SD card video 1, let's click that one. So now you can see that I've got 2 additional video sources which I can switch to in the same way that you could switch to a normal scene. So you can actually see how you can use that. Now there is an option on the overlay here, the 2 cameras within a circle allow you to switch to auto switch mode, which allows you to switch automatically between your 3 input sources. So if there's a single operation and you want to cycle through the 3 various input sources, you can actually set that up as sequential or random or whatever through the auto switch, something that I probably won't use, but that feature is built into this box. There's also another option in here called scoreboard, and if I just go onto the main display, we can actually see that. If you just turn on the scoreboard, you can see that we've got here a overlay which comes onto your main screen, and you can change the size of it. You can change the name of the teams, add the time into it if you wanted to, a countdown time if you wanted to. Now there are various options in here for adding a scoreboard if you were following a game or commenting on a game, etc. Now the only thing I've found with this, that if you set this into a position on your feed, and then for one reason or another you turn off the scoreboard display and come back to it, you'll find that it's gone back to its default settings. Now I don't know whether that's a bug or not, or just the way that I'm operating it, but do be aware that if you turn off the scoreboard display, you will lose the settings you've put in there. Now on the feed as well, you'll notice the stacked icon here. If I just click that, you can see that it shows the overlays that you've got programmed into your device, so you can actually create your own overlays. Here I've got one which I would put on my blog site. So if I go back to HDMI 1, I can switch this in and it will bring up that overlay into the bottom left hand side of the device. If I go full screen, you can see how that would look. To close out, obviously just click the right hand side. If I wanted a countdown timer, then if I just click that, that would appear on the feed that's going out, and then you could start your service or whatever you're going to do. So overlays, very easy to create in the menus of this device. An important feature when you're setting up your presentations are the overlays. If you have a look at creating the overlays, you can add an overlay. So these will now come from your overlays. So you've got image overlays, lower thirds, a countdown timer, the social overlays, titles, or a feed from a web URL. So if we just look at titles, for example, you can now create your own title. Welcome to the show, your text, as I've got the subscribe one in, your text, or even a logo. So it's very easy to create one. If you want to one lower thirds, then you've got options again for your lower thirds. So very easy with this device to create neat overlays that you could add to your presentations at the touch of a button. Now you may have noticed in each of these video feeds there is a dark circle with a head and shoulder portrait. They allow you to use the chroma keying effect. So for example, if I'm in HDMI 1 and I click that little icon, it will allow me to go into the keying, and then I can key out whether I'm in a green screen or blue screen. So here's a demonstration of how you would do that. Here's an example of chroma keying using the Yolobox Pro. This was added with the Pro version of this device and allows you to green screen or blue screen to create this sort of background. If we had a look at the setup of how you can achieve that, if we just go back into our overlay view, HDMI 2 is the camera that I'm using to create the green screen, and if you click the little person icon on there, it brings up the chroma key setting screen. If I turn it off, you can see that we have indeed a green screen behind. If I turn it back on, you can see the options we have. We can change the color key from green to blue. So if you had a blue screen, you'd obviously select blue. And then you've got similarity and smoothness, and they will define how the matte is produced. So if I change the similarity, if I drop it, you'll see that we lose the chroma key. Now if you go too far, you can actually lose your subject. So it's a balance point between not enough and too much. So find the midpoint. Then you've got smoothness, which allows you to have a look at the overall picture and look for speckles which are appearing in the background. That doesn't look too bad. We'll just change it slightly. You can see the effect. If I drop it, you can see that we get a hot spot in the middle. Take it too far and it'll get hot spots on me. So again, it's finding that midpoint balance. Check it full screen, and that looks okay. Then you can click done, and you've got that set up, and it will be remembered for the next time you use that chroma key effect. Now remember, it does depend upon the overall lighting that you've got on the green screen. The better you can get that lighting shadow free, the better. And also with the camera output, 420 is probably not enough gradation there to give you a good chroma key, but if you can use 422, that would be better, but that's probably only available if you're using this in an external editing program from your device. So that's how you would set up a green screen with the Yolobox Pro. If you were to maximize this screen, as I'm going to do now, then you notice that we've got an overlay at the bottom, so we can change the overlay. We can do the video switching, we can go to the audio source, we can go to the scoreboard, or we can close it back down again. So with the on-screen switcher, if I click this icon now, you can see that I can switch from sources on screen, but they won't go out on your live feed, they just appear on the box. You can see across the bottom we've got multi-view, so we've got picture in picture, so you can select the main screen, select the sub screen, and now you can scale the sub screen and position it where you want it. So you can see now we've got the picture in picture, we've got the main camera feed and your picture in picture video at the bottom of the screen. Now, I'm not going to go into the process of creating a live stream in this particular video. That will be for a future video. But I did want to bring to your attention the fact that if you are creating a live stream and using a pre-existing live stream as a template, it will use all the settings that you've created in the menus. So you could run into some issues, as I did when I created a second stream and I had a different microphone setup. I had audio follows video, and when I switched sources, I lost the audio feed. I'll show you that in this particular video, but you'll lose the audio feed that I'm doing now as I switch over, because when I switch to the main menu, the Yolobox will not output this video into the recorder. Let me just switch over and I'll take you through that. So you can see on the screen now the feeds as they would have been for this particular presentation, and at the moment my audio is on HDMI 1, which is fine, but if I switched over to HDMI 2, the video would follow HDMI 2 now, because that was one of the settings that I had for this particular setup. So you can see I had audio followed video and it was feeding into HDMI 1. Now I wanted the audio to stay on audio track 1, but unfortunately audio follows video. If I went to track HDMI 2, you would lose the audio feed from HDMI 1, as I'll demonstrate now. So now I'm on HDMI 2 and you've lost the audio. I'm switching back to HDMI 1, and obviously the audio has now come in on HDMI 1. So I just wanted to make you aware that if you use a template, check your settings before you actually start your live stream, as you could get tripped up by that. So there we are. That's a very brief overview of the Yolobox Pro. It's a fantastic little device. I'm sure I'll be able to get lots more benefit from it once I start to look at the extra menus and the way we produce content for live stream. So when I've done that, I'll produce a live stream for you and show you how I went about setting that up. So thanks very much for watching. Please do take care, and I hope to see you all very, very soon. Goodbye for now.